of the Old Guard drum line, and I'm going to have the guys introduce themselves, starting down with Sergeant Salazar.
I'm Staff Sergeant Josh Salazar. I'm from Lafayette, Indiana. Went to college at Purdue University. Marched seasons with the Blue Stars and the Phantom Regiment, and the Connecticut Blues Fife and Drum Corps.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Scott Jameson. I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I went to the University of Southern Mississippi from '03 to '06. Joined the Corps in '07, and actually finished my degree while I was in the Corps in 2010. I marched in the Capital Regiment Drum and Bugle Corps in 2006 as well.
My name is Sergeant First Class Mark Briley. I'm originally from Millbrook, New York. I'm a student of Nick Antanasio. I have been in the Old Guard now for almost 10 years. I've been on the production staff as an arranger, and I'm now currently the Old Guard snare section leader. I have my undergraduate degree in music education from Northwestern State University, and I'm pursuing a master's in music education from Boston University.
How you doing? I'm Master Sergeant Joshua Dukes. I grew up in Millbrook also, down the road. I'm a student of Dominic Cuccia. I grew up playing in the Young Colonials Fife and Drum Corps, and I've been drum group leader now for a year and a half.
Hi, my name is Staff Sergeant Alex Coldell. I went to the University of John Quigg. I've been with the Corps for about 8 years now, and right now I currently am on the production staff for the Corps.
I am Staff Sergeant Matt Bell. I've been in the Fife and Drum Corps about a week short of 10 years now. I'm also a student of the University of John Quigg, and also went to DePaul University in Chicago and got a performance degree from there too long ago.
I'm Staff Sergeant Scott Danley. I'm from Mop, Alabama. I'm a former member of the United States Marine Drum Bugle Corps, and I've served with the Old Guard drum line for 6 years.
My name is Staff Sergeant Randy Waterman, originally from Camden, New York. I grew up playing in Fife and Drum communities, and I'm glad to be here. I've been a part of the Old Guard for about 7 years.
My name is Staff Sergeant John Brandt. I'm from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I studied music at Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Was a member of the Spirit of Atlanta Drum and Bugle Corps, and been here for 6 years.
My name is Staff Sergeant David Boyle. I grew up in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I grew up playing in the folk music tradition of fife and drum, and I've been in the Corps for about 8 years now.
So we're going to take 25, 30 minutes and basically take you through some of the styles that have influenced us. We have fife and drum, obviously. We have Swiss, Scottish, and modern influences that have made us what we are today. So we're just going to take a little bit of time and go through it. Now, fife and drum is an obvious influence that we have. I grew up playing fife and drum as a kid. Actually, a lot of times if something's dirty, it's probably because of me, because I just think about stuff like in big phrases and not like a paradiddle, and each piece needs to be exactly in time. I'm just like, well, it's this big thing, you know, and I got to play a 7 here, which ain't in time, and then I know I got to get over there, you know. So a lot of times I get the old look, hey, Dukes, come on now. I'm sorry, that's me. So what we thought would be cool is we would pick a tune that has the old 7-stroke roll and the old jump, 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 jump after it, and we're going to go ahead and play that for you guys right now. So it's Devil's Flute is the piece we're going to have Mark play. I think most people know it, and what you'll realize is that he's just having fun with it. He's doing what he wants with it. It's different every time through, and I look forward to hearing this. Awesome. That's great. But how the heck do you get all these dudes up here to do that together? Like, I mean, it's constantly changing. It's like this evolving thing. So we have something that we call the conductor, right? Our conductor is that that left-hand lead prep, right? That left hand comes up and everybody cues into that. So now we're going to play as a line and use that same idea. I'm going to step out.
Out.
Like Josh said, we have influences from a lot of different places. We're thinking about traditional American pipe and drum, and what Alex and I are going to talk about a little bit now is the pipe band influence. Now, as you can see, pipe band drums, along with the pipe band style, are really a hybrid thing. I think probably everybody pretty much saw John's clinic before. This is a different version of a pipe band drum. You can see this one's a little bit shallower. It's a custom thing. It's just a Washington pipe band drums. That just gets us a little bit more snare sound without having to get the heads quite as tight. But you can see this is an aramid head on top, but it's an uncoated aramid head, right? So you're not dealing with that familiar white flam sort of setup. That lets us get a little bit easier snare response out of top snares. These drums have a top snare and a bottom snare, which you guys know pretty much. Wire snare is a snappy snare sort of setup, which is kind of an odd thing. Well, why is there a snappy snare on what otherwise would look like a drum corps style drum? What that really lets us do is it lets us get articulation from a very soft stroke to a very loud stroke, and it's really a similar articulation from quiet dynamic to a loud one. So you can hear on this drum, with a really kind of finger-controlled only stroke, I mean, literally, I can touch this drum and get a snare response, right? All the way up to the loudest stroke that we're going to play. And you can hear the strokes it all comes across pretty much the same way. So hybrid drum, hybrid stick that we use for the pipe band style, maple stick, you can see it tapers all the way from the back to the front of the stick, which is kind of an unusual thing. Mark's going to use a really similar stick when he talks about the Swiss drumming style. So pipe band's borrowing from that as well, from the Swiss style. I'm going to have Alex play a couple pipe band rudiments for you. And what you're going to hear in this is a similar thing to what you're hearing in the traditional American style, which is not everything lines up on an exact subdivision, not even close really. And so we're sort of going for a flow and what we'll call a natural inflection, meaning every rudiment that we play pretty much will have a dynamic phrasing to it, whether or not it's actually written out. The first one that Alex is going to play is what we call the Scottish Radimacue. You heard John play a take on this earlier. Normal American Radimacue with an extra stroke added. And you can play this off of both hands. So Alex is going to demonstrate just a few different phrasing things that would be typical of pipe band drumming.
Just kidding.
It's very similar to our 7-stroke roll phrasing, right? Where there's this conductor's baton sort of thing happening. And like John was talking about earlier, pipe bands don't necessarily all play with the same technique. Even within the same line, you're going to see some difference in what the visual thing looks like. So if Alex and I are playing together, you'll see a lot of that left-hand prep thing on the Radimacue. Not necessarily always done, though. I'm going to have Alex play, which one are we doing, Fla-Fla? We'll do that one. So this is the pipe band interp on Fla-Fla, which is Swiss rudiment, essentially, but pipe bands have taken that, and this is Fla-Fla. So you can hear in that, there's a sort of underlying swing going on, and it's not a dotted 8/16 swing, it's not the knip-knop swing, this thing, right, not that swing. It's not exactly a tripletized swing either. It's something that sort of sits in the middle, this nebulous kind of weird thing that sits in the middle of the two. That's something you're going to hear in the pipe band style in general. We're going to play a tune for you now. This is a couple parts of a competition march from the City of Washington's repertoire. This one's the Clan McRae Society. So you're going to hear a lot of accents on E's and U's. We're going to avoid downbeat accents pretty much. You're going to hear that orchestral roll on steroids sort of closed roll thing, and you're going to hear some dead stick moves along with some drag fives. And you're going to hear all those have these natural sort of crescendos to them. So this is Clan McRae Society. do with that. Because obviously we don't have drums or anything like this, and we're not using a technique like this. What we really do is we're going to take that same type of feel, that sort of implied swing and everything. We're going to use some dead sticks and a bunch of accents that come on and off of beats. And the basses are going to play sort of a more straight ahead pipe band style bass accompaniment, so not as rudimental as you might hear. This is a tune called Black Watch Cadence. The guys are going to play.
Sticks out. All right, before I continue with the Swiss piece, I just want to kind of speak for everyone on this. We're completely humbled to be here. This is something like out of our normal workday. We don't get the opportunity to come and actually do this on a normal occasion. So I'm just going to say on behalf of them, thank you guys for letting us be here. This is really cool. It's an awesome honor for us to be here.
Thanks.
Yeah. And the idea that came with all these things has actually, what I mean by things, meaning these stylistic approaches. The rudimental thing has been part of my blood since I was about 6 years old. Same thing with Josh and Randy and Dave. We grew up inside the fife and drum tradition up in New York. And so the old guard's always been known for that. And what started happening is I think it really started with Alex and then kind of with Matt Bell when they came in, they brought this Scottish idea that came in, also with a guy named Ed Aston back in probably the late 90s. And so kind of what we've done is we've taken these ideas and we've really tried to take them to the hills. What can we take out of Scottish drumming? What can we take out of Basel drumming? And a lot of it has to do with textures and different rudimental, what we call vocabulary. So the next segment we're going to do is actually the Swiss style, more specifically from the city of Basel. And in 2004, I don't know where he is in the room right now, but Mr. Bosworth, I don't know where you are, but I have to say thank you. Mr. Bosworth.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, there you are, behind the pillar. Okay. In 2004, Mr. Bosworth brought over Eric Juilliard and the 21st Battalion Greycoats. That drumline consisted of all members from the group Top Secret. And so we got to do a couple joint performances, one at the Pentagon and also one down in the National Mall. And that really forged an unbelievable relationship between the old guard drumline and a lot of the Swiss fifers and drummers from Basel. So that's kind of a little history on why we're actually doing this and how it came into being within this drumline. I'm going to play a piece called Brite, which is a traditional Basel march that would be played for the Carnival of Fastnacht. Inside of it, you're going to hear a lot of those rudimental phrases that are typically Swiss, but try to listen for where there are more straight ahead, more metric phrasings within the rudimental passages. So there will be triplets, 16th notes, but then we have what's called the double. The double is a tap flam, but it's not played like straight 8th notes or straight 16th notes. It'll be kind of swung. Okay, and it has a real light texture to those doubles. The Basel grip, fulcrum is completely in the back of the hand. Letting the front thumb, or the thumb on the right hand come down. First finger also comes down. And then in the left hand, it's a very closed grip as well. The first and second finger will come across the top of the stick to generate more power. Fulcrum is kind of awkward though when it gets to those low strokes. And so you have to use really good control basically with the ring finger in the right hand and then the fingers on top of the left hand. So this is Brite. So trying to basically translate that to the old guard drum line, what we do is we take the idea of the double and we try to give it the dotted, basically almost 64th note, dotted 16th note type of feel. That's how we would write it, but it's not completely accurate. So it's kind of a listening game at this point. This next thing you're going to hear is a cadence called Helvetia, and we're going to incorporate a little bit of the double in there.
Sticks. Oh.
Talk just a little bit about the old guard style of bass drumming. If you're familiar with traditional rudimental bass drumming, that's where we draw a lot of our influence from. If you're familiar with more core style or tonal bass drumming, you'll hear a lot of differences in what we're doing. With modern DCI or modern college marching bands, anytime you have that tonal factor in the bass drum line, you can write these great melodic ideas, but because we are a unison bass drum line, we have to create music in a different way. So what we do is we provide, number one, kind of a foundation for the core to sit on. Because it's fife and drum music, we're going to have bugles, fifes, and drums, and snare drums, which are all higher frequency instruments. So the bass line provides the sub for all of that to stand on. The second thing we do when we're writing snare drum parts is we provide counterpoint to what's going on, just to make all of that more interesting. Another thing is the way that we react to things. We can't react like a modern drum corps would because they can use that grid. When you have 5 bass drummers, you have to rely on the meter being constant. With us, that meter is constantly stretching. Sergeant Dukes talked about that prep with the left hand, that conductor's baton idea. In the bass drum line, we use our eyes and we use our ears to try to match that, so we allow the snare drums to be our metronome. So we listen for that 7-stroke roll, and we listen for that stretch and that push and that pull. If you listen to a lot of the cadences and things we've played today, we have those 10-stroke rolls, we have those 7-stroke rolls, and we have to wait on those things, so it's really a listening game. The first time I ever got to play with the fife and drum corps when I first came in, like I said, I'm a drum bugle corps background. So Sergeant Riley was tapping off the drum line one day, and he tapped us off, you know. And I went, boom, boom. And everybody just kind of looked at me like I was the odd man out. And I was like, what's going on here? I don't know how this thing works. Somebody's got to let me in. So with time, those of us who didn't grow up in the genre have understood. But we're going to have Scott Jameson and Dave Loyal play a piece now. And listen in this piece that they're playing for some of that stretch and that push and pull. Here they are.
Drumming you've heard so far, a lot of people will talk about the Swiss influence, the Scottish influence, and the American fife and drum influence. But you may notice a lot of things that are influenced from Drum Corps International, DCI style. And we had a guy join our ranks probably in the early 80s who had marched with the Phantom Regiment for 2 years under Marty Hurley. His name was Keenan Piddick. And we think of him as sort of like the Johnny Appleseed who brought DCI style ideas to our drum line. One of the biggest things he brought to us was the idea of taking drumming that was very external, very, very big, very, very open, and kind of internalizing it for purposes of uniformity, so that things could be kind of quantified and standardized throughout the drum line. You know, if you think about fife and drum corps, sometimes their drum line was very small, but when you get into drum lines with 6 snares, like the old guard, you really needed to start to standardize things so that things could be cleaner across the board. Another one of the big ideas that he brought to us was the idea of visuals. And if you look at any of our solos, really, visuals are a big part of what we do. Even in probably the easiest thing that we do, but we play most often in Yankee Doodle, we even have full left and full right strokes. We play those visuals in front of the President of the United States. And we don't do them for the same reasons that most DCI corps today would use them for, which is to count rests. A lot of drum instructors will put a visual in so that the kids in the drum corps, or the people in the drum corps, could count a rest and come in with a clean attack. We use it strictly for what they are, visual appeal, a little bit of eye candy and showmanship in the show. Another thing that we adapted from Drum Corps International and that style of drumming is the idea of playing some of the stuff that we play off the right hand, like a 5-stroke roll, a 9-stroke roll. One of the biggest challenges that we had was taking our original fife and drum corps, that small, really autonomous unit, expanding it, and then giving us a bigger stage. And you saw that happen with a lot of early drum corps, is that if you imagine playing a 7-stroke roll, it's really breathy, has a lot of delay in it. Well, try translating that to a horn line, and then over to a color guard, and do that across 100 yards of football field. It becomes really, really confusing. So to standardize time, they had to start playing more rolls off the right, things a little more metrically. And so we take some of those ideas and incorporate them into what we play. Not just to standardize time against a bigger playing arena and with the fife line and our bugle line and a big corps, but we also try to represent not just what was going on in fife and drum. We don't want to just represent history. We kind of also want to represent rudimental drumming as a whole. And so it takes some of these DCI ideas to be able to do that. We also use exercises to help us out with that, which Sergeant Dukes will talk about next.
So in the Army, right, you got to have a big cool word or something that annotates something you're about to go do. So we have this thing called mission prep. All right, mission prep is just basically, we're getting ready to perform. So technically, this is a mission. You guys know what I'm talking about. So, so this is technically a mission. We're up here. We're doing what we love, but this is a mission. We're technically working. So, going back to the push and the pull idea, for us to warm up and to be on the same page, it's not black and white. All right, we have to incorporate the push and the pull with the grid idea of basically taking what we're warming up and metricizing it, putting it to something that we can quantify. So we're going to take you through how we warm up, and Sergeant Riley's going to explain what we're looking for and ultimately what the end product should be.
Left hand. Sticks out. An average day, we'd walk in around 9 o'clock. We'd kind of collect in the drum room. Everyone has their coffee, gets their muscles going, and we break as opposed to 2 coffees, 5 shots,
64 ounces.
But we try to start now every day with the long roll, just within these ideas. And we started with the idea of playing the long roll as a downward exercise. And then we end with it being up. Because what we're trying to do is incorporate 2 different approaches to playing double strokes. Do you want to play them down? Do you want to control a rebound from coming back up? And then do we want to let that rebound kick back up? So that's kind of why we start low and then high. And we kind of go back and forth. If it's just the snares, we'll go a little faster. If it's the snares and basses, we'll top out about that tempo you just heard. And we'll have the snares and bass go in there. And so what we're going to do next, after we do the long roll, is we go into an exercise. It's a BD Flam exercise. So it's a grid pattern 16th notes and 8th notes, and in the 8th notes, insert a rudiment. We're going to start with doing some metric rudiments first, and then we're going to move into some ancient rudiments. Difficult about these things is that you can hear a little bit of nuance of some of the pipe band guys. You can hear the nuance of the fife and drum guys. And then what we're trying to do is take that and put that idea into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the elusive 7-stroke roll. How can you clean a delayed 7-stroke roll? What's the concept? What's the idea? We're going to break it down. We're going to take the end note off. You have 6 strokes, 16th note triplet. So we're going to put a triplet, 16th note triplet idea in there. Dot, digga, 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 digga. And we're going to look for that conductor's prep. So we're going to do the skeleton of the 7-stroke roll, the 7-stroke roll itself, and then at a faster tempo. Number one, I'd like to say again, thanks for having us. This is something that we really look forward to. It's any day that we can come play for a crowd like you guys, it's a really good day. So thank you very much for having us. Number two, Bill, thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it. And this last piece that we're going to play is The Rage of Cornwallis. Thanks a lot. Talk to you after. Sticks out.